Hello, everybody. Everybody, what up? How y'all doing? What up, though? And all the other ways you can say hi. It's your man, it's your boy, Pastor Shy. Listen, man, I have some somewhat sad news tonight. Tonight is actually the season finale of the first season of Can We Talk? Yeah, I hear, oh, I know. But listen, guys, I promise you, we're taking a small little break, but we will be coming back really soon with some new and exciting material. And so I just want to say thank you guys for those that have shared this, have logged on to this, who have commented on this. Remember, this is Can We Talk, right? And so what makes this work is when we have dialogue with each other. So tonight, on this final episode of this season, I want to talk to you from a subject that, you hear a lot about, and it's the subject of keeping it 100, right? Keeping it 100, right? And so my question tonight is, should we really keep it 100, right? Because, many of you have heard people talk about how they keep it real. Man, I keep it a buck, you know what I'm saying? And what that means to many people is that it means that you're the type of person that believe in speaking your mind, speaking what you feel, speaking what you think, regardless of who likes it, right? So I don't care what y'all think, I'm just gonna say what I feel, and I'm just gonna keep it 100, right? Because this is not so much a brand new concept. Many of us have heard the slogan, if it feels good, go ahead, finish it for me. Yeah, that's right, do it, right? You've heard people talk about how we ought to be true to ourselves, or what people call living in your truth. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, there was a fella named Little, I think it Duval is what his name, I don't keep up with these. And what's up with all these littles? I mean, why everybody got to be little something? I think if I'm going to go into rapping, I'm going to beat them all. I'm going to be miniature small. Miniature small is going to be my name. Anyway, but Lil Duval wrote a song, and it was entitled, Living My Best Life. Y'all remember that? I can't say the rest of it, but I'm living my best life, right? So that was a newer anthem of what it means to just be you, to just do you, and to keep it authentic. But as I said, this notion of keeping it a buck, keeping it 100, is really nothing new, because I believe it was back in the 70s. There was a song that said, come on and do it till you're satisfied, whatever it is. Y'all remember that? See, some of y'all too young, right? And the issue that I have with that song is not just that it says do it till you're satisfied, whatever it is. Whatever? I mean, whatever? And so here we go with this notion of doing whatever you want to do or saying what you feel like it under the guise of keeping it real. Now, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to keeping it real, I absolutely believe that we should keep it real as it relates to being honest, right? I love having open and honest conversations. But on the other side of that, while I believe that if you're going to talk to somebody, be honest, right? Be real about what you're thinking. Be real about what you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, sometimes being too honest can actually get us into trouble. Can we talk? Well, come on, let's talk about it, right? Because for those of you that believe that it's your right to just keep it a buck, no matter who you're talking to, I want you to go to work tomorrow and go into your boss's office, supervisor's office, and tell him or her how you really feel about this job. Yeah, go on in there and just let them know what's really going on in your mind. Brothers, you believe in keeping it a buck? Okay. The next time your woman comes into where you are, and she's trying to put on that body shaper, you know what I'm saying? Or put on that dress that you need 3 or 4, 15 friends to help her with. And when she finishes putting it on and can't breathe, and she says, how do I look? Don't lie. Don't say, sweetheart, you look amazing, even though you can't breathe. No, tell her, girl, you look foolish. You look like a clown trying to put that on. Go on. Since you want to keep it real, ladies, you know, you got that significant other, that man in your life, and you know how we men are when it comes to your past relationships. We want to be known as the best you've ever had. I believe it was a songwriter who had a song a few years ago, you know, the best you've ever had. I don't want to brag. I'll be. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so your man, your husband, he wants that title. And, you know, for the most part, when he asks you about your past relationships, you know, you don't really tell him the truth. But no, keep it 100, keep it a buck. Tell him, baby, you're not even in the top 10. Right? And let's see how this works out. You can keep it real, but if you go to your job and keep it real, you might be unemployed. Or if you keep it real with your significant other, you might find yourself not just keeping it real, but really single. Right? Because in today's time, culture is constantly telling us to live out your own truth or be true to yourself. And my question to that is, which self and which truth are you talking about, right? Because if we're talking about being true to yourself, what about the part of you that just can't do the speed limit, right? You bought this fast car, and for you don't understand why you can't do 100 miles an hour. This is your car. Well, keep it real. Be true to yourself. Go on down the boulevard and do 100 miles an hour. Let's see where that gets you. What about the dude who's truly a racist? Right? Should he be true to his racist or her racist tendencies? I mean, we're saying you got to be true to yourself. And so the question again is, if that's your philosophy, which self are we talking about? Because if we can talk tonight, don't all of us have sides of us that we don't want to be seen in public? Come on now, let's talk. I mean, we all have tendencies. We all have issues and thought patterns. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if somebody could read your mind for real? Think about that, right? But we all have parts of us that we really don't want to let loose, because we know that if I let that side of me be free, I'm going to find myself in trouble, or even worse, in jail, right? But once again, you can't tell people to keep it real if you're not ready for the real part of them. Because when a racist person is acting out of racism or doing racist things, if that's your philosophy, well, then they're just keeping it a buck. What about the person who murdered somebody because they just felt like they had the right to give in to their anger issues? I mean, okay, let's go deeper. What about the person who really has this proclivity to be attracted to children? Should they just be themselves? Now, don't shoot me now. I'm just asking some questions. Because I already know your answer, especially for that last one. Absolutely not. And I agree. Because when it comes to keeping it real, we gotta be careful of how real we want people to keep it. Because something happened recently, and I don't know if you know about it, but there's a comedian named Dave Chappelle. And to many people, he's called the GOAT, right? Greatest of all times as a comedian. And one of the things that people love about him that sets him apart is that he has this thing about being honest about stuff that people don't necessarily want to talk about. And so he's often been applauded for keeping it real, for making light of things, or at least attacking certain issues from a comics perspective. So people love him for that until he had a special, and I believe it was called The Closer. And in that special, he began to highlight this issue in the LGBTQ plus community. And it was an issue of racism. And he talked about a person that he knew, a female that he knew, a friend of his, who was a lesbian, but she also wanted to be a comedian. He did a long story. But in his dialogue with her, she began to talk to him about the racism that's actually active and alive in that community. He's just keeping it real. He never down-talked people. He never degraded people. But isn't it amazing that because he was honest, now people are trying to cancel him, right? Now people are trying to shut his shows down. Why? Because he was keeping it real. So this brings us to my final question on this subject of should we keep it 100? The question is, should we be able to say and do whatever we want to say and do? My answer is not necessarily, right? Because do you really want to live in a world with no rules and with no order, right? Do you want to live in a world where everybody gets to do what's right in their own eyes? I believe that keeping it real, it means to be authentic about our beliefs, as long as our being authentic or keeping it real is not doing real damage or real harm to others. As it relates to racism, listen, I don't need people to love me or like me because I'm black. You can dislike me, hate me as much as you want to, as long as your dislike of me doesn't keep me from opportunities, right? As long as your dislike of me doesn't keep me from getting a job. As long as your dislike of me doesn't keep me from getting a good education. As long as your dislike of me doesn't stop me from getting a home loan or any other human right. As long as your dislike of me doesn't hinder me, I'm like Joe Clark, right? I don't know if y'all remember Lean on Me, but there was a scene where Joe Clark was being challenged because he was putting chains on the doors to protect the students. Well, then I believe it was the fire chief or some other people came and they were challenging him for what he was doing. And so Joe Clark left that challenge, walked outside, and he said to his people, you know what they saying about me? That blankety blank can't put them chains on the door. He says, you know where they're saying it from? From outside, right? Joe Clark was basically saying, listen, have whatever opinion you want, but your opinion is not changing my reality. And so, as a believer, I have another definition of keeping it real. And my definition of keeping it real as a believer is based on a scripture that says, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. As a believer, when I say I'm keeping it real, what that means is that I'm really becoming more like Christ, right? Because he is my identity, he is my reality. And so to finally answer this question, should we keep it real? Depends on how you define keeping it real, right? As long as your definition of keeping it real has nothing to do with stealing or taking away the rights of others, then yo fam, keep it a buck. But if you're keeping it 100 has the potential to cause major harm to other people, in that area, you might not want to keep it real. Listen, that's my time. And here we are. Last episode, right? But once again, guys, stay tuned in. Be on the lookout because we'll be back. And we're going to have some more content, some things I think you're going to really, really enjoy. But I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Thank you for taking this leap with me this first season. Thank you for helping me launch out this first season. And thank you for your love, support, and your prayers. I look forward to seeing what God does in the next season. God bless you.